putting together some pieces and some parts, and very frankly, I wanted to do something a little different. I want to go back to the basics, just a blank screen. In today's world, we get caught up with Facebook and Twitter and the internet, and there's so much coming at us on marketing. There's so many pieces that sometimes we forget just the very basics, and that's what I want to go back to today. You know, and Doug has talked about, Chance has talked about cattle preparation. I've been on the side of calving cows, weighing calves, collecting performance data. We do all of these things, you know, get it all right, get it ready for our sale. Make sure that ultrasound data is turned in, make sure that our yearly performance data is turned in, get everything right on the production end. We get all this stuff so right. And then we wake up and we say, I'm going to have a sale and everybody's going to show up, right? It's not how it happens. It's not how it works. Many of you out here have businesses other than being in the beef industry. And I bet you don't operate a day in your business without a plan. Whether it be a budget plan, a fiscal year plan of activity, you have a plan. And that's one of the things that Bill mentioned that I've been fortunate to work with a lot of seed stock operations, several very large seed stock operations. And probably the biggest thing that I learned that you have to have a plan. And you know, that plan varies. Camp Cooley, our advertising budget was 6 figures. Where's their feedback coming from? If I can find.
I don't know. Where's Dave?
If I can find the right spot. I'll stay still. Okay, I'll stay still. You know, at Camp Cooley, and I go back to that as an example because it was a tremendous, it was a huge budget. 6 figures in a cattle operation for an advertising budget is crazy. Talk about fun. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. You know, you open a magazine, that looks cool, I think I'll advertise there today. But then I went to Silver Spur, and my boss there was a cost miser. I mean, absolutely bare bones. And then Bill mentioned Minnie Lou Bradley. In evolution of time, I spent a lot of time with the Bradleys working on their program. And so I went from a 6-figure advertising budget to and then you want to talk about conservative? Well, go to the right of conservative, and you'll have the Bradley program. I don't know if EC's still in the back, but EC, is that fair? Okay. So their motto is on advertising: you do everything you can with nothing. So I had to go from over here to over here. We started with 75 people on their mailing list. First year I helped them. And then over time, now we have 3,000 people on the mailing list. Now that took a lot of time, took a lot of creativity, but we've done it. So my point to each of you is you have to start out with a plan. Where do you want to go? What do you want to accomplish with your advertising? Are you trying to sell 5 private treaty heifers? Are you trying to sell 100 commercial bulls? What's your market? If you don't define that from the get-go, then you're throwing money away. So let's start at the very base, yes.
We've got a pretty big guy coming here.
Okay, I can just find a spot.
I apologize.
That's okay. There we go.
Yeah.
So once you define what your goal is of what you want to sell or what you're going to sell, the next piece is define your demographics. It may be easy to run an ad in a Cattleman and run an ad in a Gulf Coast Cattleman, and those are the places that you need to advertise, but where else? So I'm one of those people that I'll sit down and I'll look at, I'll take all my addresses of my previous buyers, addresses of people who I want to be my buyers, and I'm going to map them out. Just take a plain old red McNally map, a Sharpie marker, and mark it on the map. That's what I'm talking about going back to the basics. If you have the mapping technology and GI, you get fancy about it, I'm pretty simple-minded. Every year I take a new map out for Bradley's and I'll map out where our customers were, map out my demographics of where my advertising money was spent. So go back to the basics. Let's talk about what we want to sell, And then who do we want to sell to? All too many times what I've learned is that we spend countless dollars advertising, but we don't define who we want to sell to. And I bet you that EC will tell you running an ad more frequently, maybe just a touch smaller, is way more effective than running one ad. Okay? So that's another piece, is define as part of that plan how often you're going to advertise.
We got another one coming.
Okay. I fidget too much to stand still. So as you're defining your program, we define what we're going to sell, who we're going to sell to, then we want to decide the frequency. And you want to create a budget. Okay? Without a budget, a business doesn't operate. How many of you here have actually ever sat down and created an advertising budget? Lauren, I'm not surprised. 2, 3, good. Several of you. Congratulations, because that's a little more than I see in a lot of places. But take that to the next level, is come back the next year and take your demographics of where. Sure. I lost my train of thought. Sorry. So take from where your buyers were, compare that to what you mapped, and find out where your buyers are. And what you'll find sometimes is, hey, you're advertising over here, and your buyers are over here. So you're spending dollars, your advertising dollars are getting spent unnecessarily. And in addition to, this year I found a little publication in West Texas. Just kind of happened onto it. There's grass in West Texas, San Angelo area, out that part of the world. Found out that it's basically a sheep and goat publication, but you know what? I had more calls off of that for a New Mexico sale than that, except for our catalog. So don't be afraid to step out of the norm and find some things that maybe it's a little different. Maybe it's not just the magazine that we read every day, the one that you pick up. That brings me to another point. How do you know, just because you like to pick up the Cattleman, or the Cowman, or Gulf Coast, or Beef Today, that you like to read it, do you know that that's what your customer reads? That's something else that I've learned along the way. I did some surveys at checkout. As people check out at a sale, I'll have a little survey. I'll ask them, where did you hear about us? Or you can do it on Facebook. You can do a Survey Monkey on the internet. Really easy ways to do some surveys. But where did you learn about our sale? How did you learn about our ranch? And by doing that, it'll tell you who's effective, what's most effective, and what's working for you. Just simple pieces like that will begin to help you identify places to go to increase your advertising, places to make changes, and how to redirect the direction that you're moving, where you're going. All that part of the demographics comes into, you can be extremely effective with a limited budget, but it takes planning, and it takes knowing your customer base and knowing your demographics. That's the key, that a lot of us, we have a habit of, we'll just throw things out there and advertise without a plan. But if you'll step back and educate yourself about what they read and where your customers are located, you'll find out that your money, your advertising dollars can be much more effective. Any questions to this point? Lauren, I'm going to pick on you for a second. Do you do an annual advertising budget? Okay, so separate. When he says he does one for the spring, for the fall, just by sales season, or separate set of cattle.
It pretty much follows our fall bulls and spring bulls.
Okay, follows fall bulls and spring bulls. And I've worked with folks that do it both ways. Maybe it's just a set of cattle that they sell in one season. I've worked with operations where we do an annual budget, we tie them all together. I've worked with folks that we say, okay, we have a print advertising budget over here, and then everything else. And then I also work with, like with Bradley's, we have everything tied into one budget. So it doesn't matter. I'm indifferent as to how you establish that budget, but my challenge to you is know your demographics, and establish a budget. And along with that budget, allow for frequency, not just size of advertising. It's much more important to run 6 half-page ads than it is to run 2 full-page ads. I don't know if I'm getting an agreement back there from EC, but I want to see frequency.
Cheramie, I have a question.
Yes, sir, Doug.
How much do you figure per head on budget? What's kind of the range out there? We got 100 bulls or 50 females? What's kind of the average?
I worked in programs that were $100 per head to $500 per head. I'm more comfortable at about $150 per head on my print advertising. That's print, okay? It is figured into there. When you get into the $500, $600 range, it gets pretty salty to have to make that back. It is. But I think, like I said, 150, 200 in there. If you get much higher than that, you're going to bust the budget. It's not important. You know, in terms of print advertising, we're moving a direction. So we've set a budget, we've decided who we want to reach. The next part is, what constitutes a good ad? Can you name me, Steve Emmons, can you name me an ad, not of your ads, yours don't count, can't use your own. Can you name me an ad in a magazine, cattle or not, that you recall instantly?
Beefmaster bull ads, and you just had a large picture of a
Single animal picture?
good looking, so that's what gets, if you're,
Something that gets your attention.
if you're a cow person, that's what gets my attention.
Right. What he's saying is something that gets your attention. Something that, I was walking through Love Field this morning, and the ad that caught my attention, it says the power of advertising. And it was a longhorn. It was very simple, very clean. And that's my point. Less is more. When you create an ad, we have a tendency, human nature, that you want to put everything in an ad. That's not, the human eye cannot process a lot of text in one turn, okay? So what you want to do is understand, you don't need to have 6 different fonts, 8 different colors, and 17 pictures in an ad. Tell a story, and you want to tell what, when, where, and who. Get in, get out. And I battled with the owner at Camp Cooley. I was there for 8 years, and it probably took me 7 years and 11 months before I finally got it. Less is more. And white space in an ad is key. It's okay to have some space in your ads. Let the human eye process that. And then, Steve, you just said something that's really, really important. I can't tell you the value of photography. And that's a hot button for me because I'm a passionate photographer. There's nothing I love to do more than take pictures of cattle. It is absolutely something I enjoy. But you have to have pictures that represent quality. A bad picture will cost you thousands of dollars. Think about it. You flip a page in a magazine, you think, wow, why did they run that picture? Here's my question to you. Are you one of those people that run that picture? There's a Brangus breeder inside the Brangus Journal every month. He runs the most atrocious pictures. I've offered to go take his pictures for free. And he runs them every month. And there's several in the back that are laughing because y'all know exactly who I'm talking about. And here's the thing. He has cattle that will work. The pictures are awful. Don't be that person. There are people who are talented photographers. Utilize them. Allow them to tell the story. And that's what your photography needs to do in your ads, is tell a story. You know, we have a habit. We run ads, we run sire pictures. You know what? 97 people have seen bull A, B, and C 14 times already in the journal this month. Why are you running sire pictures over and over and over? Tell me about your program and the cattle that you're selling. And why do we do that? Why do we run sire pictures? Anybody know? It's easy. That's the key right there. Okay? That doesn't make you money. That makes the guy selling semen money. So take the time and put the effort. I'd rather you take one really good picture and put that picture in your ad than to have 5 or 6 or 7 sires in there that are telling you you're selling sons and daughters. And why? Because it tells me about your program and what you're selling. And we've just over time become a cattle society that we take the easy way out. And we go pick up a herd sire picture or 5 or 6 herd sire pictures or the donor. That was the donor of the month. Last month that we run her picture. I tell you what, if you'll run progeny pictures, I promise you that ad will pay for itself, and it'll pay for the photographer that it took the time to come and get that picture. Taking pictures is a whole other topic. We'll discuss that another time, or if you want to talk about it, get with me later. There's an art to taking sale cattle pictures, and it's like watching paint dry. Pick your brand of paint on that given day. Either you love it or you don't. We'll talk about it later, though. Any questions to this point? Kathy, you're laughing at me, so go ahead. Okay, that's a perfect transition for me. That's where I'm headed. What her question is about using social media. It's real simple. In today's society, it is inevitable that you're going to have to use some sort of social media. And a couple months ago, I went back to Louisiana, and I had a conversation with my grandfather, and it was a perfect summation. He asked me 2 questions, always when I go back home. One, he asked me, he says, and you have to understand this is a guy from South Louisiana. He asked me, are there mosquitoes where you travel? There's mosquitoes everywhere, I tell him, okay? So you can understand being from South Louisiana why he asked that. And another thing, he asked me one day, we were just talking, and I pulled out an iPad and I started showing him some pictures. Hang on a minute. He said, that's that www thing. And so in our society, you have to understand that we have a generation of folks over here, your generation, the internet, you probably don't play on the internet much, right? But the journal comes in, or the magazines come in, the first thing you do is chair at night, right? Okay? So we have to touch you, okay? And then Lauren's generation back there, how many times do you check Facebook a day?
30.
There you go. Too much, he says from his boss man. My mom's sitting in the back corner, and I wish I had $1 for every time she looked at Facebook every day. So, Kathy, to answer your question, it's inevitable that you're going to have to do both. For me, I make some decisions. I can't do Twitter and WhatsApp and Instagram and the Pauls and Sullivans and Facebook and a website. I can't do it all. I can't keep up with it. So pick 1 or 2 social media pieces and do them well. That's the key. Pick a limited number and do it well. For me personally, it's a website and it's Facebook for a ranch. And let me tell you why. A website should tell the story of your ranch and of your operation. Tell me your history, who you are, where you've been, what's your cow herd. Show me some pictures. There again, it's that picture piece. Have good pictures, not Polaroid pictures. I'm talking quality. Polaroids don't work anymore. Cell phone pictures are only acceptable if they're good. Okay? But then on Facebook, okay, your website's going to be fairly static. It's going to be something that you need to keep updated once a month. Closer to a sale, you're going to update it much more frequently. Facebook is easy to update. Okay? Ask your kids. If you want to give your kid a project, don't offer them $1 for every time you want to change, because it'll cost you $100 a day. Don't do that. Promise, at least $100 a day. But Facebook is easy because you can put up a picture, you can put up a comment, you can, weighed calves this morning, weaning weights are averaging 682, cows look great. Had 3 inches of rain today, grass is coming. It's not complicated, it's very simple. It's very simplistic, but once you start on Facebook, you need to be consistent. Same thing with your website. Once you establish that website, keeping it updated is key. There's nothing more frustrating to me than to go to a website, and I'm really excited, I'm going to go to their website and learn about this program. They have their 2012 sale bulls up. Well, you know what? Lots happened since 2012. Cattle prices kind of changed, and if you're in the Angus world, you know what? There's kind of this thing called genetic defects. Yep, all those sires have genetic defects. We're not going to use those anymore. Okay? Keeping your website updated, have to do that. And on Facebook, get in the habit, whether it's once a week, once a day, but do it fairly regularly. The key to Facebook, and this is something most people don't understand, Facebook isn't free. There's Mark Zuckerberg, he's making millions. Millions. Well, how's he doing that? Because all you got to get on Facebook is click on it, you can scroll through it and see what Kathy's kids are doing and what Bill's doing today. But you see all those little ads on the side? Or then there's pop-ups that show up? That's where they're making money. Okay? I had a bring a sale in New Mexico a couple weeks ago. And what I did is I spent $50 just as a test, just to see what would happen. Generated 1,000 likes. That's quite a bit. 2 of those actually bought a bull. So for $50, that was worth it. Now, would they have seen the information elsewhere? Probably so if I was doing my job with print advertising. But it started a conversation, and they saw some pictures that we posted. They asked about a catalog. I was able to send them a link to a PDF link in the catalog. And then it started, I responded and I said, are you looking for cavities, bulls? Are you looking for some bulls with some performance? And we started a conversation that way and went from there. So Facebook for younger generations, and I'm going to say probably from 40 and younger, there's a lot of business done on Facebook. A lot of transactions. Selling semen and embryos, it's crazy of what you can do. In Mexico, I learned about an app called WhatsApp. I hadn't ventured there, but I think it's something that will grow. It's similar to Facebook, but it's something we need to be aware of. Just understand, to answer your question, Kathy, yes, I think you have to use social media. You can choose what you want. My suggestion is to choose 1 or 2 and be good at it. Okay? Keep it updated. That's really, really important. Like I said, don't be like the Angus breeder. I went to their website and had 2012 defect carrying bulls up as their feature sires still. It was kind of a turnoff. No need for me to worry about going buy semen from those guys. Kathy, did I answer that? Okay. Other questions on social media at this point? You know, and this is going to go back to the basics. And Bill, you mentioned Maylin Bradley, and I'm going to go back to Minnie for just a second. There's something that she does that I really admire. How many of you are familiar with or know who Maylin Bradley is? Okay. 60 plus years in the beef industry, raised Angus cattle, their time-tested program. At 80 years old, she learned how to use the internet. Sat down with her one day and I explained to her that her computer was a feed yard. Files equal a pin in the feed yard, and a jump drive, that was a trailer that you would back up, you put cows in the file and move it into the trailer. So anybody can learn to use that www thing, okay? But the thing that Minnie does is she writes handwritten notes, and she calls people. In our day, in our society, we've lost that. How many of you have taken the time in the last 12 months to write a handwritten letter to a buyer? 0. Not many, okay? We've lost that. And that's my challenge to you is human interaction. even with all the technology that we have, the number one thing that you all have is yourselves. And that's my challenge to you, is don't lose that. If it's a junior that's bought a heifer, pick up the phone and say, hey, how's your heifer doing? If it's that commercial cowman that bought 5 bulls, don't let the next time he hears from you be a month before your sale. Make sure you reach out and you touch base with that guy and you check, hey, how's things going? And no, you may not like all what you hear, but that's good information. So don't lose sight, and that's probably just key highlight points here. Set a budget, have a plan, know your demographics. Don't lose sight of personal interaction. That is so important. And that's one of the takeaways that I have from working with Minnie with Bradley is that every once in a while, just randomly, you'll get a note in the mail, and it might just be 5, 10 sentences. EC shaking his head. I bet you've had a couple of those, right? And it's something that, again, it's a generational thing, but we've lost that. And my challenge is to all of you is don't lose that. And it makes a difference. Questions? EC, I'm going to lean on you for just a second. What would you add here of what we've covered? What's some...
Most important thing, I think, for factor for an advertising.
There you go.
Is the personal, I mean, if you can do it. I'm a gray hair, so I'm not up on Facebook and all that stuff, so, but, print advertising and personal contacts. Mark Jones was telling me that he'll stay on the phone calling people ahead of the sale, after the sale, all every year. And I don't think there's anything like the owner.
Right.
You can hire somebody to do it, but it's not the same if the guy
In that personal contact, it's all about establishing a relationship. Because you come to know, not only do you know about their cattle program, but you know about their grandkids, you know about if they've had moisture, you know about what their first calf heifers are doing, if they're working or not working. And that's the key. I keep notes. I have a customer database, and a lot of it's handwritten, but I can tell you, when somebody's grandkid, when they were the football star, all the way back to my Camp Cooley days, I can go back and tell you what those guys' kids did, if they graduated from college by now. So all those things, it's all about relationships. And tie that in with your advertising. Any other questions? Okay. I've handled this kind of different, went at it with a different approach, didn't do a fancy PowerPoint, but I wanted you to have a couple takeaways. Like I said, have a plan, have a budget, know your demographics, understand that less is more in your print advertising, and then keep up your personal networks. Thank you. And actually, yes, I do have quite a bit of experience with that. There are several companies out there that operate on a system called MaxNet. There's a new company that has a new platform base, and I actually do quite a bit of work with that new platform base. On an online sale, you want to have 10 to 20 head. Too much can get to where you lose the buyer's attention. Having quality videos is extremely important. Having quality pictures is extremely important. The thing that an online sale does is that it loses the emotion of the buying process. Okay? So what that means is that you lose, PC at the ring encouraging this guy to bid. So you have to make up for that. Just because you have quality cattle, you have them on an online sale, doesn't mean the buyers will come. You yourself as a seller has to create that excitement. So the responsibility for marketing changes. We take the emotion of a sale ring atmosphere out. That means that you have to contact people, make sure that they know, hey, this heifer calf is selling, this is what her mother has done, this bull is selling. So the responsibility and the dynamic of promotion and the excitement changes quite a bit. And so what I tell people is you have to be willing to accept that change and be willing to put the time into it. I personally think that it allows small breeders a really positive way to sell cattle, okay? But just understand, once you get past, like I said, about 10 to 20 head, that's maxed out on what you want to do on an online sale, Okay? You get much past that, you're going to lose some momentum of the sale. If you have 50 head or more that you need to sell, you need to have a production sale. But if you want to sell 10 to 15 heifer calves, 10 to 15 bulls, I think for small breeders, from a cost effectiveness standpoint, excellent way for us to market cattle. And especially if you want to do it different times of year, say maybe you have a set of January, February born bulls, and then you have a set of May, April bull, or April, May bulls that you want to sell, and don't have as many, that works well to do that. Does that help? Okay. Yes,
But you still need to advertise.
absolutely. And he's right, okay? You can't take away, and this is a perfect example. There is a trend, I'm going to use some names here, and I hope I don't get shot for this. There's a trend in a company called Breeders' World that all they do is e-blast and then have cattle listed, okay? In the Midwest, folks have become accustomed to going to Breeders' World, and they spend lots of time looking through everybody's sales. But there's no print advertising being done, okay? I had a sale at Silver Spur, fall before last, and we ran a $5,000 advertising budget, okay? So basically, a couple of 4-color ads, had some half-page ads, probably wasn't as consistent as I needed to be in terms of the number of ads. Had a phenomenal sale. Had 15 heifer calves out of 56.86 on. First time heifer calf sale was really good. On 15 weaned heifer calves. The next year, they said, you know what, you did so well that time, you can have the sale again, but you can't spend any money. I'm a Cajun Aggie, and I can figure out that doesn't work. You know what? We didn't sell all the heifer calves. Ended up with 3 of them behind you, only averaged $4,000, and we had better heifer calves. The difference was we didn't spend money on EC's print advertising. So make sure, because these gentlemen over here, they're going to look at the print advertising. Lauren might not always pick up the magazine and look at it, or he's going to look at it on an iPad or his iPhone, right? Okay? But don't lose half of your customer base. You have to have print advertising. So EC's right on that. EC, I really don't like telling you that you're right, but I agree on that one. Yes, ma'am, Simmons. Hey, you know me, there's no filter from here to here. I think it's a waste of money. Mailing them out. Because, here's why. If I can pull it online, her question is what's my opinion of mailing a DVD out with your sale videos versus having them online? Is that right? Did I phrase it correct? If I can have those videos online, I'm going to have them online for viewing instead of sending you a DVD. Okay? And here's why. Because the chances are, in your everyday life, when you're sitting on a tractor and you're putting wheat in, or when you're doing something, going to the vet's office and you have to wait for the vet, okay, you can pull up your phone and look at 5 or 10 videos real quick. But you're not going to have your laptop sitting there with a DVD in it that you can sit and watch. That's the difference. It's availability in your given day. Now, if you are going to send a DVD, send it with a personal letter and follow it with a phone call. Okay? Because chances are it's in a stack of mail somewhere that I may or may not get to it. Oh, what? You know what? That sale was last week. Here's a trash can. Plunk. So if you're going to send it with a personal note, follow up with a phone call. And videos today are too easy. YouTube is the greatest thing next to the internet. I can even put a video on YouTube. If I can do it, you can do it. Questions on YouTube is a whole other, that goes in that category of taking pictures. YouTube is the most underutilized piece of social media that we have. Because you can put videos up, good or bad. I would encourage you to gravitate towards good ones. But YouTube, you can have your own channel. Now, you think that www thing is complicated? Just imagine till you tell your grandkids, come see, I'm on TV, come watch me on the internet. And you have your own channel. You want to impress them? Tell them you got a YouTube channel. Just wait. So YouTube is something else that I would encourage you to research, and like I said, that's something we can talk about later on. And that's just the time. Any other questions?
There are questions.
And I didn't mean to hammer on you on the DVDs, but I'm just being honest.